Hi, Tom's Escape here. Do you know what the longest ongoing United Nations mission is? The first group of military observers from the United Nations Truce Supervision Organization, or UNTSO for short, arrived in the Middle East in order to supervise the armistice agreement between Israel and its Arab neighbors following the 1948 Arab-Israeli War. The UNTSO is the oldest United Nations mission and has been going on from 1948 until the present day. The war at the Gaza Strip the last few years has probably made the mission more engaging than ever. 1 year after this mission was established, the Israel-Syria Mixed Armistice Commission was formed. A member of UNTSO posts along the armistice demarcation line were established, but incidents continued to occur until the Arab-Israeli War. The UNTSO mission has resulted in various other United Nations forces being established and deployed in the region. If you've watched my first ever video about the evolution of modern warships, then you'd know that the first documented wars were fought in modern-day Iraq, Iran, Egypt, and Israel. So conflict in the region is not a new phenomenon, though the tensions brought about post-World War II certainly had and continue to have a substantial impact on the security and the peace of the region. Current news headlines center around the conflict of Israel and Hamas, most particularly in the Gaza Strip, though Israel and their neighbors have a long history of strained and sometimes even violent relationships. Following the Israel and Egypt conflict in 1973, things began to get increasingly tense along the Israel and Syria border, and in March of 1974, firing became more frequent. In response to the escalating situation, and in alignment with the United Nations Truce Supervision Organization's goal of upholding peace in the region, the United Nations Disengagement Observer Force was established on the 31st of May in 1974. The UNDOF has since remained in the region to uphold the ceasefire and the disengagement agreement. But what exactly does that entail, and what has the UNDF been actively doing for the last 50 years? The UNDOF operates in a no-man's land, known as the Area of Separation. This demilitarized buffer zone stretches approximately 80 kilometers long and varies in width from a few hundred meters wide to several kilometers wide. The mission is also home to the United Nations' highest permanently manned position, with an altitude of 2,800 meters. Talk about a high posting. According to the terms of the disengagement, no military personnel other than the UNDOF are permitted within the area of separation. Various observation posts are maintained as part of the operation, and patrols are frequently conducted to ensure that there are no military forces in the region. The core function of the UNDOF and UNTSO is the observer function. These posts are operated to observe the activity and collect information from those in the region, and then report that information up to the Security Council in the aims of upholding the armistice agreement. Despite the ultimate goal of maintaining peace, the mission has and continues to have hazards to the UNDOF personnel's safety. For example, in 2011, the Syrian civil war sprung into action, and UNDOF's positions were repeatedly caught in crossfire between Syrian government forces and various opposition groups. In 2014, the UNTSO and UNDOF withdrew to Israeli side of the truce line, and they didn't re-enter the Syrian side of the separation for 2 years until 2016. Showing the international aspect of the United Nations, it was Australian Lieutenant Colonel Leigh Scott Crawford who was seconded to the United Nations as the strategic planner in the Office of Military Affairs of the United Nations Secretariat in New York, who had an instrumental role in the area of separation being re-established by the UN in 2016. He assisted to convince UN stakeholders on a plan to re-enter the area by citing the footprint the UN had amongst the communities of the area of separation. the people who had lived amongst and relied on the United Nations since 1974. Then in December of 2024, the situation in the area of separation changed drastically again as the Israeli Defense Forces troops increased their presence into the demilitarized buffer zone and conducted various operations across the ceasefire line, violating the 1974 agreement. The UNDOF reported via the Security Council report, and that says that Israel has repeatedly conducted airstrikes and ground operations on Syrian territory. Israel claims that national security concerns as the reason for those violations, and says that it will occupy the buffer zone indefinitely to ensure demilitarization and mitigating the threats from southern Syria. The UNDOF has also reported on the 4th of August that the Israeli Defense Force maintains and reinforces at least 10 positions through the separation zone and the limitation on the Syrian side. The current Syrian interim president, Ahmed al-Shara, has reaffirmed its commitment to the 1974 agreement, and despite strongly condemning Israeli attacks, Syria has not retaliated militarily, even as Israel continues to increase operations across the demilitarized zone. In the latest Security Council monthly outlook for October 2025, they state that a critical problem for the UNDOF is the limited ability to carry out its mandate in light of restricted movement because of the Israeli activities in the area. To counter this issue, the Security Council suggests adopting a presidential statement for the parties to uphold international law and their obligations under the 1974 agreement. This would mean military forces from both sides would not be inside the area of separation. So what are the UNDOF up to right now? Well, their mission includes continuing to document and report on the area of separation, and they maintain 14 bases in the region. This is in addition to regular patrols to gather evidence and intelligence. It also includes mine clearance operations in the region. An end to the UNDOF operation is not in sight, so who's to say how long this mission will continue to go on for? Perhaps another 50 years will do the trick. One thing's for sure, there's not a lot that Russia and the United States agree on, but both agree on the UNDOF's importance to peace in the region. So that's the little-known operation that Syria has hosted for over 50 years. Thanks for watching and subscribe for more.